Hi, Julia Watts here. Thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel. So today we're going to make a project which combines some stencils and dies from Sam Poole from Creative Expressions. So we'll be using the Vintage Rose Shabby Basics, and this stencil is called Roses in Tea Garden. We're going to use some Phil Martin dies, and we're going to use some of the Sentimentally Yours Flawless Media range. So to begin with, what we're going to do is just pop some texture medium through this stencil here, which again is your Roses in Tea Garden stencil from Sam, and so it can dry really. So we've got, first of all, we're using the texture medium from Sentimentally Yours, and I'm going to pop some onto my craft sheet. I think that'll be enough. I don't actually need the whole area, but if we do have the whole area, that's fine. So this is the Radiant Lustre pigment powder, and it is the Summer Coral, and we're going to add a little bit of that to it to colour the texture medium. So the texture medium looks white, but it will dry clear and glossy. So I only want a subtle pink. So we're only adding a little bit of the Radiant Lustre pigment powder. We won't really be able to see it until the texture medium goes nice and clear. Actually, I think I'll just add a fraction more. It is going to be very light. Let's add just a little bit more. Don't go into your lustre powders with your spatula that's got the texture medium on it, because you don't want globules of texture medium in there. Do give yourself a really good mix so that all the granules of powder are nice and smooth, and you don't want white areas in it. I want it to be lovely and pink. So we're just going to spread this through, and it's like buttering toast. You just want to spread it through nice and evenly. Try not to dig underneath, and also try not to overwork it. It does dry reasonably quickly, so you don't need to panic about getting the stencil off really quickly, but don't go away and make yourself a cup of tea and then come back, because there's a good chance your stencil will be glued down. You can clean your stencil just under running water. I tend to use a nail brush to get rid of the excess. So I have managed to pretty much cover the whole thing there from that one bit of paste. Okay, it's not bad going, is it? Don't often get it that well guessed. And it will clean off your craft sheet really easily too. Normally got a pokey tool, but let's just use our fingers. Use this. Try not to get a kickback. Do that. Obviously you can't really use your tape because it's all mucky. And just lift this off. There's very little left on the stencil, so not a lot for an extra one. But you can see it's an absolutely beautiful stencil, and we've got that lovely subtle pink. So we'll put that aside to dry, and then we'll proceed with the rest of our project. So my stencil is all dry now, and you can see that I've got this beautiful pale pink colour, and it's lovely and glossy, which is from the texture medium and the lovely Summer Coral Radiant Lustre pigment powder from Sentimentally Yours. So that's lovely and dry. I do have one or two kind of flecks of other colours, which was obviously on my spatula, but I can kind of work around that. So what I've done is I'm using this Shabby Basics Vintage Rose die set from Sam Poole from Creative Expressions, and this die here, it will cut into card. So I've taken this is the Stitched Torn DL dies from Sentimentally Yours, and I've taken the largest but one of these, and I've cut this rose into it, so you can see that you can see whatever's going to be underneath, you can see into this. And this is going to work beautifully with the Tray Chic collection from Sentimentally Yours, and I'll try and do some videos with that as well. But on this one, what we're going to do, and this is based on a card I think I saw Sam herself do. So we're going to look through the die cut into that detail that we've got underneath. Now I need to make sure I position it so I don't actually see the bits that aren't so good through it, so but I can kind of move it around, and with the size that this is, I can actually get two backgrounds out of the one piece. So I'm just going to just cut this in half. Now I've got another piece to use as well, so let's see. I've done it slightly smaller so we can see where we're going to be putting it, so we can just chop some of the top off here and some of the bottom off too. Before I stick it down, we're going to actually add a sentiment as well. So my plan is to have some lace and some roses down here, and we're going to have a sentiment up the top. And I want to keep it lovely and light and kind of pastel-y. So we're just going to stamp in Morning Mist, which is the grey VersaFine Clair. I am going to use my stamping platform because I don't want to spoil this lovely die cut, just in case. And I want to make sure I get the sentiment straight as well, which is a biggie for me, really. 97 million magnets. Now I'm using one of the sentiments from Fairy Hugs, Fairy Whispers, and we're just going to have Thinking of You today because it kind of covers so many different occasions. So there are 7 stamps on this stamp set. All the products that I'm using you can find on my website, juliewattscrafts.co.uk. I think that's straight. The text is quite flowy, so if it's not 100% such straight, it won't matter too much. So going into my platform means that if I don't get it quite right, I can add some more ink. You don't want to press too much because it is only a little sentiment. Perfect. So that's that. Then also in the die set, you've got these 2 dies here. Well, you've got 3 dies actually. You've got a little rosebud, and then you've got a trio of leaves which are on a plate, and then you've got this rose here. So I've cut that rose out 3 times, and I've left it so that all of the what are normally fall away pieces are still in the die cut, and I've made sure that they stay in there by adding some red liner tape. It could be not just normal double-sided adhesive tape, so don't worry about the fact that you can see the red through that, because obviously those will come off. So I'm going to add some colour to those, and I've also got a bunch of leaves. So I've got the leaves that come from this plate on the die set, but when you actually knock your rose out, you've got lots and lots of leaves here as well. So I'm unsure how many I'm going to use, but we're going to add a little bit of colour to those as well. Make sure they're all over this right way. So I'm going to use the Summer Coral, which is obviously the colour that I mixed in with the texture medium in the first place. And I'm going into my palette. You can get these palettes from Indigo Blue. It's a Tim Holtz palette, and it's a good idea to write the colour on the front with a permanent marker, just so that you know where you're going with it. And if you do any mixes as well, like this is Lilac Bouquet and the Lunar Pearl mix there. So yeah, any mixes you do, pop that down. So to make a paint, we need a paintbrush. What did I do with my paintbrush? This. You want a damp paintbrush, and you want to go into your powder, pick some up, just pop it into your well. Add some more water. I don't think I'm going into my water. No, there we go. And then just mix it, and that makes a paint. Obviously the more water you add, the lighter it's going to be, and actually the less pearlescence is going to be as well, because you've watered it down quite a bit. There's quite a lot of water in there now, so we're going to add some more powder, give it a mix. And this way, by doing this, it means that we can kind of tone in our project with what we've actually done with our texture medium as well. If you want to lighten it, you can add some Lunar Pearl to it. If you want to darken it, you can add some Obsidian to it, or one of the darker pinks like Orchid Whisper. So I'm just going to go over the top here. I do want it quite pale. I don't want it a deep pink, because I want it to kind of tie in with the background. Just really giving it a wash more than anything. And you'll find that where you've got the die cut lines, that the colour will be a little bit darker around there maybe. And the last one, just have a little bit more water. Nothing technical, just bringing it in so that it's going to match. Okay, so those are they. And let's do some leaves. So for the leaves, I'm actually going to work outside of my palette, just on my mat. Do leave that open to set down so that the water evaporates. Don't close it straight away. So I think what we'll do, I mean, we could just use one of the greens of the pigment powders, but just as a little technique, what we could do is take something like Shabby Shutter's Distress Ink. Let's put, so they don't fly around the place, let's put these on a piece of paper. Should have done that in the first place. Okay, it's also easier to clean up when you're on a piece of paper. So we've got different tones going on with those roses, which is quite nice. Why did I just tap that? No idea. So let's put some Shabby Shutters on my my mat. So this is regular Distress It, it's not oxide. There's a little bit of water to it. I might have a bit of mica powder in there anyway. So if we were to just paint with this, we've got that. Okay. If we were to take something like the Lunar Pearl, which is the kind of white one of the powders, we can add some of that in. And now we've made ourselves a very, very pale green. Probably do want a little bit. You can use the re-inkers as well, which is quite a good thing to use actually. Let's add a bit more water. So now we've got this lovely pale green. And I thought it would be nice to have a really pale green, because it kind of fits in with the almost romantic feel of the rose background that we've got going on. Obviously the difficult thing is being able to hold them. And it is actually a very beautiful colour, this. I'm really liking this colour. That's Shabby Shutters with a bit of the Lunar Pearl Radiant Lustre powder. Now I could have done this in the palette, I absolutely could, but it's hard to get the ink in the palette. So that's where a re-inker would be good, because you could just put a little dollop of the, or a little drop rather, not a dollop, of the re-inker in your palette, and then add in your powder, and then obviously you can reconstitute that if you don't use it all. Obviously when you're mixing your own, you need to mix enough for your project. Not so bad when you're only adding white to something like a distress ink, because it doesn't matter if you've got shades. Is that, which way is that? There we go. I might not use all these, but it's quite relaxing just colouring them all in. Pretty. Okay. Put that to one side. Let's clean that up. Obviously you wouldn't normally clean that up, you'd pick that up onto another piece of card. In fact, if we just pick it up onto this piece of card here, it's a bit, so I was going to mop it up, it's going to be quite light. Okay. Right, so that's that. And I've got I've got a DL card. So this is the largest of the stitch torn rectangles, and then this card is this is pure white card, and it's a piece of A4 card lengthways. So it's scored in half lengthways, so it's a 4 1/8 inches wide, and then I've cut it as 8 1/2 inches long, I think. Let me just double check that for you. 8 1/2 inches long, so it's 8 1/2 by 4 1/8. So we can put this one on here, and we're not having a lot of colour with lots of different mats and layers. We can have that one on there, and then this one is going to go on my background on here, like so. So it's just a very subtle piece, but we are actually going to add a little bit of ribbon around it as well. So on here, I've just got, I mean, I've just been having a bit of a tidy up, and I found this ribbon here. So let's find my ribbon scissors. So we don't need much. And we're just going to tuck that at the back. So let's have some of the red liner tape. Let me just secure that at the back. I'm not going to put any glue on the front because the roses are going to hold it down. Where did the end go? Here it is. We used to use a lot of red ribbon. We don't tend to use it now, but I thought that it fitted with this project. Okay, so I can decorate on the front of that now. So I think I've got everything I need on there to start sticking my back down. And I'm going to give it just a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to just pop it onto 1mm foam tape, just so we've got, when we're looking through to the background, we've got something to look at. And then it does take care of the height of the ribbon as well, and it won't be too bumpy, hopefully. So we can pop some, let's pop some 1mm tape just down the middle there, because we've got some dimension there. And I'll put some glue on the ribbon. And we have some up here, like so. There's another bit. Obviously you can fast forward this bit if you don't want to watch me do this. So these roses, this rose die, you can cut this into whatever shape you want. You can go into a circle, an oval. You know, I really love this die. As soon as I saw it, I thought that it was just such a versatile die to do lots with. So I'm faffing a bit with the tape here so that I'm not going to have any saggy bits. So that means kind of cutting it up and putting it in the gaps. And, I mean, some of you might think, oh, how am I going to not have the gaps there? So, you know, it's a useful thing to see, I think. And let's have another little bit just up here. And another. So I'm not using really deep tape. We won't have it sagging in the middle too much, hopefully. Right. Okay, so I will just pause and I'll come back when I've taken all the back bits off. Right, so got all the backs off all the tapes, and now we're going to add this to my background. And again, I need to make sure that I don't get that little bit there visible. I think we're good to go underneath, like so. I've got a little bit of glue on the back of the ribbon as well. And then this is going to go onto my next size of the stitched torn DL from Sentimentally Yours. Just using some Sentimentally Yours PVA. I just think the DL is a really nice size card. There we go. Pretty. And then this is going to go on here. Question is, do we have some more foam tape? Let's have some more foam tape on there. Let's have some more 1mm. Just a little bit of height, not a lot, just a little. And we could just have it like that, but I think it's nice to bring in the roses, the extra roses from the set. So they're going to come in down the bottom. Obviously we could stamp a verse inside if we wanted to. You know, I don't make many proper cards, but sometimes I do. So let's bring in these leaves that are dry now. And I've already taken the back off my my roses. So I think what we'll do is we'll also add a little bit of glue to them, just so we can move them around a little bit. And the tape is on the back so that all the pieces stay in the die and don't pop out. So let's have our roses. I'm just not going to push them down just yet. See where I want them, like so. And then we can bring in some leaves, maybe. And tuck those in behind. Obviously, it takes a little bit of time for the glue to bond because we are on ribbon here. But the PVA will work on the ribbon. I quite like that extra long one, so we can pop that. Well, perhaps let's have it down here, like so. Just a little bit of other colour than the pink. Let's add a little bit more glue while we've got the glue upside down on some of these. Doesn't matter if I don't use them, the glue will just dry. How many we've got there? I've got 5. That should be enough, I think. Let's see. Don't want that there. Let's have it perhaps under there, like that. And I don't know if I want many more actually. Let's have another. Let's have a couple down here. Always fetch them out if I change my mind. Yeah, I think that's enough. I don't think we need any more than that. So give them a press. And that's it. We're all done. See if you can see it all. So to recap, we've used the Shabby Basics Vintage Rose from Creative Expressions, Sam Poole. We've used the Stitched Torn Rectangles from Sentimentally Yours, not rectangles, DL from Sentimentally Yours. We've also used the Roses and Tea Garden stencil from Sam Poole Creative Expressions, and then we've used the Texture Medium from Sentimentally Yours with the Summer Coral, that was through the stencil, and then we've also used the Summer Coral on the roses, and then we've mixed Shabby Shutters Distress Ink with the Lunar Pearl to colour the leaves here, and then the sentiment is from the Fairy Whispers Fairy Hugs stamp. Hope you've enjoyed that. Do check out my other videos on my channel, and subscribe, like and comment would be much appreciated. And don't forget, you can find all the products from juliawattscrafts.co.uk for shipping to UK addresses. Thanks for watching. Bye.